This weekend, I learned that sometimes the first thing you see can be the best thing you will see. It was pretty neat to be on the receiving end of a first minute goal. I thought to myself, well, now I don't need to have like those first half nerves I normally would deal with. So, of course, I then endured, like the rest of you, a giant pile of nerves as Orlando did just about as good as one team can do down a man against FC Cincinnati. Minus the whole goal in the net thing. That kind of counts. But one of the reasons we love this sport is for those magical moments that can change everything. You sometimes win the ones you look terrible in, and you can lose a match that you played super well in, all because of 1 minute. And in the case of that first minute, I'm glad our magical man, Lucho Acosta, is on this team. Something I feel like FC Cincinnati hasn't had since Manu ran all over the USL. But it's a pretty big week now as we turn the page to go towards Columbus Crew. Hell is real, a place our club, let's be honest, has always struggled inside that stadium. And one can argue that outside of Miami, the two Ohio teams are the titans of the Eastern Conference. So it's going to drum up here to be a pretty big matchup. And it wouldn't be Hell is Real episode without a special cast and a special guest. We've got all kinds of surprises in store for you tonight. We'll first start with the regular, the usual, Bryan Waggle. How you doing, sir?
Good, man. I don't have any nerves left. I'll tell you what, this weekend coaching my boys' soccer team, Saturday played a Tommy G's son's squad, and then Sunday playing Augustin Caceres' team, King's Hammer, had a heck of a battle, physical games both around. So, yeah, man, nerves are shot. I didn't have anything left for Saturday's game, but yeah, exciting to be here and excited to welcome in another friendly face. So.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you had fun this weekend. Justin, I saw you had another new Soccer in Ohio article series. Those seem to be getting picked up by a lot of fans of all these different teams. Good job, man.
I appreciate it. I love going out to those communities, man. It's great to be a part of somebody else's niche for once, you know?
Mhm.
But yeah, the article was covering our local Cincinnati Sirens, Northern Kentucky Nitro, and Valhalla FC. It was an absolute blast being up there in Fairfield, Ohio. If anybody ever wants to go to game time to check out those matches, it's really cool and it's a great, neat environment.
Nice. Somewhere there are embarrassing clips of me doing sideline reporter stuff for Cincinnati Sirens. So I hope no one out there can find it.
That
All
was
right.
part of my research, and it was fantastic.
Well, special guest. You remember him from the first 5-6 years of CST. He's been lagging for a bit, but he's back with us. Brad Waggle, showing his face once again. How are you, buddy?
Dude, fatherhood's not for the weak of heart. I don't know how Justin and Bryan do it. You know, Bryan's got 3, Justin, you got 2, right? And you're traveling every weekend to a different game, and your wife allows that? I mean, my goodness, you guys are lucky individuals. Yeah, you can see, look at their backgrounds and look at mine. But no, man, I'm glad to be back talking FCC and talking about winning. So yeah, it's always fun. I feel like during my time, there wasn't enough of that.
Oh, that's why we kicked you off, because you know,
I was for the greater good, man. I get it. I play a role.
After we kicked you off of what was it, March to Match Day? Then we started winning.
Started winning, man.
No, it's
that or a baby.
It's special to be here tonight. This is the not technically episode, but the 800th podcast among all Cincinnati Soccer Talk platforms. So special night with all of us. 800 of these things. From talking tactics, March to Match Day, jersey swap, some specials here and there. So special night. I can't believe we got this far. And we appreciate all y'all listening.
Yeah, indeed. And you know who else we appreciate, Bryan? Our good friends at Apollo Home. As you all know, we are sponsored by them in 2024. Give them a call if you have any HVAC, plumbing, or electrical needs. You can call or book online at apollohome.com, and we appreciate them as well. Let's get into your best and worst. We got to go fast today. We have a guest, and we want to finish on time. Bryan's got me on a timer, so we'll start with him. Best and worst, sir.
So my best of the week is congrats to Ryan Durkin on the birth of his son, Evan James Durkin. So congrats, Durkin household. Glad to add another member to the Orange and Blue family. Speaking of kids, I think my also best of the week was kids getting put into the pressure situations. Brett Halsey, Dado
having to step up and play meaningful minutes in a gutsy match. So props to those guys. And my worst is Brett Halsey losing his ever-loving mind, kicking that ball away. So it is a learning moment. It's a coachable moment. I'm sure when he has to pay that $500 into the team jar because he got a red card, he's going to really rethink those decisions. That's what I was telling Lucy. It's like he's walking off and said, no, he's not mad that he got the second yellow. He's mad that he's going to have to like make the league minimum and still pay like $1,000 or whatever into that team fine jar. So worst of the week, but Brett, I still have faith in you. You got this.
It could have happened at a worse time. It could have been 0-0 and well, we both have 11, if your young guy's going to take a red card, I guess that's probably the perfect moment to do it. Justin, best and worst.
Best has got to be. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with the curveball. I think that seeing FC Cincinnati go up a goal and then kind of survive the storm. I know it may be disappointing going up a man to be in the situation that we were late in the match, but it was good to see kind of that return with Roman Celentano, that defense playing the way it was, just be able to survive what Orlando City was throwing at us. Worst for me was probably, I'm going to have to go with the Brett Halsey foul, because Brett, the meaningful minutes are hard to come by when you have somebody like DeAndre Yedlin in front of you, and to have, kind of a boneheaded series of fouls. That's hard to go with, especially the one with the elbow. The elbow one was kind of just unfortunate with the positioning of his arm.
Yeah. Well, we'll dive into your best and worst. If you have something, to go ahead and throw it in the chat bar. Right before that, I'll give Brad. I'll give you a chance before anybody takes yours.
No, man, I got to stick with my boy DeAndre Yedlin. I think this is the first episode I've been on since he's signed. It's my guy, and I just love how he's trying to connect with Lucho when he's healthy. And so I think that right now there's not enough guys that are taking those chances. And I think Coach talked about that a little bit in his press conference. So I think that's that's such a quick strike. I mean, it's a tremendous effort, tremendous pass, tremendous tone to set early. My worst, it's got to be, kind of regressing after going up. So we set that tone, and then immediately Orlando kind of put us on our heels. And I think we've kind of seen that during the last year or two, is when we get up. We're famous with those 2-0 goal leads in the semifinal losses. We just get so conservative, and I think that's an issue that Coach has to address. I think he's trying to come up with some ideas, but at some point you are what you are, and I think that I think a lot of fans are worried about that right now with this offense.
Yes, indeed. I have DeAndre Yedlin as well, although mine's on the worst side of it. That's two games in a row he's come off looking hobbly, looking weak, and then Acosta was really limping around there for 10 to 15 minutes. Broadcasters even were wondering how long he'd stay in the game. And going into Hell is Real Week, that got me a little bit nervous. I wish I want our team to be at full health. If you remember last year, we picked up the flu right before we played Columbus, and I just feel like it's always something. Acosta's missed games versus the Crew before. I just want a nice battle. I go to this match every year in Columbus, and every year I've walked away disappointed. I just want to win once and rub it in their face in their stadium. Is that too much to ask? That's all I'm asking, guys. My best, winning when you can't win, winning when you shouldn't win is the best. I think it's more common that you lose or draw when you know you were the better team and you played out there. So getting it on this side of the ball, the field, I don't know, the net, winning 3 points when maybe, just maybe, you had a really bad performance and a bad week. I'll take it 9 ways to Friday. All right. You guys have been throwing your best and worst in the chat as well. We have a best clean sheet. That's right. Roman Celentano's back. One of us should have picked that up. Worst team dynamics when you are up a man. Thank you, Augustin, for that. Jay, best Roman back in the goal. Worse, the team is still having Jekyll and Hyde moments with the basics. If we have time, Jay, I would love to kick back into this and talk about that. Best, starting fast. Worst, not being able to finish teams off by our own Bryan Biedenbach. Thanks for listening, buddy, on your off week. All right. That I think that about does it. We'll close our best and worst. And real quick, guys, I'll give you a 4-minute segment on Orlando City, and then we'll move into a guest and Hell is Real. All right. So what did you think? What are the big moments about this game? What went horribly right? What went horribly wrong? We'll start with minute 1. Obviously, Lucho Acosta scores a goal. Did you see it coming? Did you see the magic happen in real time? Justin shaking his head.
No, because it's an Oscar Pereira team, so I expected it to be bunker mode from the get-go. So that was awesome.
Here's a good one for you: amazing Yedlin pass, or they fell asleep, or a combination of both.
Both, for sure. I don't think they were ready for it. Right?
How do you not mark Lucho Acosta?
I definitely think you have to look at how he kind of took advantage of Cartagena, whatever how you say that, slipping there and then slipping through the center backs. Just opportunistic, and it's just Lucho's high soccer IQ that gets that. Thankfully, he was able to get on the board, and think about if we didn't have that just moment of brilliance out of him, where we'd be at with this club right now, sweating going into to Columbus.
Yeah. I wasn't worried too much because of the immediate pressure Orlando put on FC Cincinnati. Even down a man, we've seen week after week, in my opinion, teams blitz our team until they get a little bit worn out. You can't do it very long, and then our defenders figure out how to pass through it up through Obi or Bucha. Orlando, though, continued to pressure. Lost a man. I'm thinking this is in the bag. 1 minute Lucho goal. 10 versus 11. We've got it. How was Orlando able to keep so much pressure on us, Bryan? Do you got any thoughts on that?
Well, I think they had a good high line of attack. We didn't necessarily take advantage. I think there's a great quote, and I was going to touch on it a little bit later. Let me find it here. Coach Noonan said, once the red card happened, we played scared. We played afraid to make mistakes. We lost intensity going to the ball and made safe passes. I think we were afraid to go to goal and leave opportunities for them to transition. So credit to Orlando. They were the better team despite being down a man 55 minutes. I think that's spot on. Our midfielders had issues progressing the ball. And then when Orlando had the ball, they were great at switching the point of attack to pass around our midfielders and to run at our center backs and have a lot of crossing opportunities and putting guys into the box. So I think credit goes to Oscar Pereira. I know in Orlando they want to burn the coaching staff down to the ground right now and restart over. But I mean, after the Thor Halfson injury, I mean, he somehow galvanized that team. And, credit to them and credit to their fight. I mean, they looked like they had the heart, and we just looked like, hey, we're up 1-0. We're playing with house money, and let's get out of Dodge.
Yeah. Completely surprised. But you're right about Orlando fans. I've read nothing but is it because why are they not looking at it as we put up an amazing fight against last year's Supporter Shield winners? Is it just because they've stacked? I think that's got to be it, right? They've stacked multiple losses in a row.
I think you look at Orlando right now and you look at FC Cincinnati. They're actually not too far off. Now, right now, FC Cincinnati's offense is seriously struggling, but their XG on the defensive side is league best. It's like just under 7.5, and we've only given up 9 goals. So we're kind of playing to that number. Now, Orlando, they've given up, I want to say it was 16 or 18 goals on an expected XG of 11. So I think when you're looking at FC Cincinnati right now, we're still being compact. We're not giving up a ton of chances, and that's going to allow us to make adjustments without having to panic right now. I don't think Orlando is going to miss the playoffs. I think they're just not getting the results right now, whereas FC Cincinnati is. And if I'm Coach Noonan right now, I'd rather be in his shoes in second place trying to fix issues than 14th and Oscar Pereira trying to fix some issues, even though I think Orlando in the end will be good.
That's like literally, I said this to Lucy. It's like, if I'm like the 1 or 2 seed, like that's the team I do not want to play.
No.
Coming like into the playoffs is like a 7, 8, 9.
Well, I mean, I think the season's early, right? We've seen summer turnarounds over and over and over again in Major League Soccer, so nothing's written in stone yet. And if you're an Orlando fan, I'd relax a little bit. There's still plenty of summer window time to save the day as well. And I think FC Cincinnati got out of there pretty well. If we have time at the end of the show, we're going to bounce back in and cover some of the injuries, new players, all the things in that game that we can get back to. But I got an email May 1st at feedback@cincinnati-soccertalk.com. Matthew Smith said, "Hey guys, I really enjoy your coverage and coverage of the team with me being down here in Lexington. I wondered, are you guys interviewing with people from Apple TV this season? I've really enjoyed that last year. Go FCC." And Matthew, we appreciate your feedback, and we listened, and we've got Jake Zivin, who's on tonight to be with us and give us the lowdown. Hell is real. We are excited to have you, Jake. Welcome in.
Hey guys, that's a lot of pressure. I hope I can live up to it, but it's great to see you guys. I can't wait to get to Ohio this weekend.
Yeah, you're coming in for a big one, a really big one. I mean, I still think the Supporter Shield winners, MLS Cup winners. Now you've got FC Cincinnati up there with Miami at the top of the leaderboard. Columbus is fighting in CONCACAF. This is a big, man, as far as banner matchups go, are the 2 Ohio teams in your top 5? League-wide.
As far as like you're talking about the rivalry?
Yeah, sure. We'll go there first.
Oh, sure. Like as the I don't think it's close, right? I think, look, I'm now a Portland person, and that I called Timbers games for almost a decade, and I still live in Portland. So Portland, Seattle, in its almost 50-year history, has a soft spot in my heart. El Tráfico is incredible. St. Louis, Kansas City, it's only the second year, but it's great. Toronto, Montreal is always heated, and hell is real to me is right there in the top 5. Those are the top 5 derbies, top 5 rivalries in the league. And I don't think it's particularly close, to be honest. We looked at the schedule and we don't decide what games we're calling. We wish we had that control.
Yeah.
But when we looked at the schedule at the beginning of the year, on Sunday, it's Portland, Seattle, right? And for me, I want to call every Portland, Seattle game selfishly. But I said, you know what? That weekend, right? We're talking about in March, that weekend of May 11th and May 12th, hell is real. The rematch of the Eastern Conference Final, the reigning MLS Cup champs against the reigning Supporter Shield winners. That's the game, right? So I'm glad that we got assigned it, and I can't wait to get out there and call it.
Yeah. So outside, kind of looking in, we know you've done a lot of games so far with, really across the board, but what has been your opinion of FC Cincinnati without diving into the weeds so far and all the national storylines going on with them?
Yeah, look, they're in second place in the East. They have the second most points, tied for second most points in the league, right? They're third in the Supporter Shield standings because of goal differential. And they've scored 13 goals. Like they're not dominating teams, but they're winning. And that's, to me, the mark of a good culture and good team. And it's similar to last year, right? They won 17 games last year by 1 goal. They've won 6 games already this year by 1 goal by my count. I think I counted that correctly. Like that's important, right? To me, that shows teams that have veterans. They know how to win. It was the MO last year, especially at the beginning of the season. It's the MO again this year. And that's a good thing, I think. You've got Lucho Acosta, who's coming on, right? Like his goal against Orlando, that's vintage Lucho. Just the composure, the patience to make it easier. So many players hit that first time, and they might score first time for sure, right? But they might, the keeper might come out, cut down the angle, might hit it right into the keeper. They might hit it wide, whatever. He's so composed, such quality to take a couple extra touches and turns it into a sitter, an absolute sitter, right? And to me, that's Lucho, man. It's Lucho at his best. And they know how to win, and they've got a strong back line and a strong defense, and Roman's back now. And for me, they're continuing on what they did last year. Certainly there's questions at the number 9, obviously, right? And I think that has got to be on the mind of, I'm sure, Pat Noonan and Chris Albright and every FC Cincinnati fan right now. But the fact is, you have those big questions and you're still in second, right? And so you're in a good spot. FC Cincinnati, I say holistically, FC Cincinnati is in a good spot right now. After what, 10 games, 11 games, right a third of the way through the season.
So let's head into this weekend's match. Now, this isn't the first Hellas rule you've called. I believe you were on the mic for the Eastern Conference Finals last
We did,
year,
yeah. What a game. We
Yeah.
were lucky, yeah.
Hey,
So,
bad luck? What? Bad luck? Yeah. Well,
Hey, I'll say this. First of all, if that's a regular season game, it's a draw. Okay. So it's not a loss for you guys.
hey, I like
but,
that.
But what, I mean, just what a game. And I know it's got to hurt so bad for everybody from Cincinnati, but for us, from our neutral perspective, and you asked about the matchup, right? Like, where does it stand in the league? Like, what a game. And it seems like it always produces a great game with drama, with excitement. Of course, it's been dominated the record-wise by Columbus, especially up there.
We gave them 3 years for free.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. No, you're right. Absolutely right. Like, so yeah, you want to just start looking at it when in the Noonan Albright era, but yeah, got to get the monkey off the back in Columbus for sure. I would say. Right?
well, no matter what, we still always have the first one in the U.S. Open Cup.
That's right.
Can never take that one away. I'll never forget them going after Berhalter after that. But digging into this weekend, what's the matchup that you are most looking forward to see? Like, what intrigues you tuning into this match?
Man, I think when these, in any derby, in any rivalry, right, it's kind of the intensity in the middle of the pitch. Columbus brings it with Aidan Morris and Darlington Nagbe. I mean, those two, as far as a midfield pairing in the league, to me are still untouched. And now I got Lucho, right, who's the second best, probably number 10 in the league. Unfortunately, now everybody's in the running for second best. I think we've learned that a few months into the season that is the case. But if he's in form and on his game, and hopefully he's okay, right? We haven't talked to Pat Noonan yet. Hopefully he's all right. It sounded like he would be. And if there's a game that kind of not be cautious for, and it's this one.
Lucho never sits anyway.
Lucho, exactly right. Yeah. So Lucho, to me, Lucho versus Aidan Morris / Darlington Nagbe, to me, that's what I look at. Columbus is, you guys know them well. Like they're enthralling the way they play, and they have so much confidence now. And I know the record in MLS isn't great, and they've got a bunch of draws in a row. They're flying. They don't care, right? I mean, the series against Monterrey is one of the most impressive things an MLS team has done, and they're going to be rested heading into this. So. Yeah, I can't wait. And certainly then the next question would be the number 9 for Cincinnati, right? Like, is it Kubo and Baird again? And look, Kubo creates that red card, right? Like Yuya has a chance also to make it 2-0. He probably should have finished, but he's the reason why a mistake, but then he takes advantage of it and is the reason why you're playing against 10 men for 70 minutes or whatever it is. So yeah, those two guys versus can they score, right? Can they cause problems to Columbus's back line? But the midfield and Lucho versus Morris and Nagbe, yeah, to me, that when these teams get together is so intriguing.
I'll throw in Obina Nwobodo too, and then
absolutely, yeah. No, I mean, and maybe he's a top 5 defensive midfielder in the league. I think, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So last weekend we had a little. I guess a better taste of the new MLS rule with the VAR announcements. Ismail Affaf gave a clear answer to what had happened in that red card situation. What are your thoughts on the new MLS rules, including the VAR one?
VAR announcement is great. And look, I know there are some tweets going out. I saw him about Ismail saying, the purple team. First of all, referees refer to jersey colors in every sport. It's simple. It's easy. Secondly, I'll say this. Public speaking is hard, right? Ismail Affaf is doing this in front of 20,000 people in the stadium, potentially, right? Depending on the game, millions of people on Apple TV around the world. Something that they've never done before, right? That was, I think, the first time Ismail has done it. Maybe he's, I don't know exactly in preseason games or other competitions or. It's hard. It's difficult, right? It's not like the NFL. Those guys have been doing it for 30 years, right? They've got it down to a science. They do it multiple times a game because there's so many reviews in the NFL. They've got to announce so many things throughout the game. They're used to it now. MLS referees are not yet. So to me, to kind of poke fun at somebody for maybe not saying it exactly the way he wanted, which I don't even think is the case in this manner. is crazy talk to me. Like no problem with the way he phrased it. It was clear. Everybody knew exactly what he was saying. There were no questions of what's happened. It's gone great. So I love it. It's great TV. It's great for the people, probably more the people in the stadium, right? Because on television, ideally, right, whoever's calling the game, are interpreting it correctly. And so we can tell the viewers exactly what's happening as it's happening. But when you're in the stadium, you don't have that benefit. So it's a little more confusing. So I think that's great. The off-field treatment rule and the substitution timing rule, I don't know if there's been a substitution yet where it's taken, more than 10 seconds. And so they've had to wait a minute to come on league-wide. I don't think there has been. There wasn't the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I haven't
don't
seen
think
it.
There was one last week. And the 2-minute substitution rule, there was was it Cincinnati?
Yep.
It was you guys, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Where 2 at once. That was a tough moment. And that's a tough situation. And that's probably the one kind of like, yeah, we're going to have to deal with situations like this, because if it was the same incident, if it was Hagelin and Robinson, right? If they had clashed into each other and they're both down, then they both don't have to come off because it's the same incident. It's teammate versus teammate. Because it was in different places, now they're both subject to it. And whether Nick was going to have to come off anyway, the substitution may have had to happen. But if like Pat was probably forced into making a substitution, even if he didn't have to, because you don't want to play down 2 men for 2 minutes, right? So yeah, like you guys saw the first weekend of it, probably one kind of anomaly, but I think it's positive. The fact that we haven't seen it very often at all shows that guys are getting up and they're playing. And that's the point, right? Is to eliminate players milking it, trying to slow down the game, have the ball and play more. So I think it's worked. And I certainly welcome the changes. And everybody, I don't know if you guys spoke to people before, a few weeks ago, before they got enacted. Everybody that I spoke to at the MLS Next Pro level spoke super positively about it. And they were like, we were skeptical, right? Like coaches, we were skeptical. But it was good. And like it went smooth. And we liked it. So I think 3 weeks in, it's been pretty positive.
I can't wait for that moment. I think you see this on Facebook all the time with the NHL referees and the reels and their colorful antics of announcing that. I want to pinpoint a ref that we need to like cheer that on this year.
Yeah.
So
hey, I'll tell you what. Ted Uncle's got the best penalty point in the business.
I was just gonna say
we gotta wait to hear Ted Uncle's announcement.
That's definitely the leader in the clubhouse. So I know you've got to do some premier matchups league wide this year. I know you've done quite a few messy games. What has impressed you the most? Do you have a favorite storyline so far this year?
Look, it's not being a prisoner of the moment, but Inter Miami has somehow blown away my expectations, because MLS is a grind, and MLS plus CONCACAF Champions Cup is a special type of grind. And yeah, they're out of that tournament now. And a month ago, when Messi's hurt and they're going through both competitions, it was looking like, okay, the grind of this might get to this team. And it still could. There's a long time. But man, when they're not even full strength, just when they have Messi on the field, because they have so many injuries still now. But when he's on the field, they are so good. And better, I think, even than I expected. I mean, what they did to the Red Bulls in the second half was ridiculous. And the Red Bulls will look at that and wish that they had done a lot of things different, I'm sure. And they can look at each goal and each moment, or probably at least like 4 of the 6 goals, and be like, yeah, we could have done better. But it's just, you cannot switch off against them and him. You have to play perfectly. And
if there's a team in Major League Soccer that FC Cincinnati is happy them putting 6 up on, it's definitely the New York Red Bulls.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are. Exactly, right. But I can't wait to see Inter Miami at full strength play. And look, that Open Cup semi was, you guys had it. Cincinnati had it, right? And it was a great game. And Cincinnati probably should have advanced, didn't, but it was a great game. Mm-hmm. And it was toe to toe with like, maybe switching off for 10 minutes there at the end, but it was Cincinnati went at them, and even right, it went 3-2, and to come back, like that's something teams usually don't do, is when Miami hits their knockout blow and demoralizes teams, to come back from that is hard. So anyway, I'm looking forward to Miami having to play Cincinnati, having to play Columbus, right? Mm-hmm. With both teams at full strength, and even come playoff time. And if they have to go on the road in the playoffs, right? Go to TQL, go to lower.com or a difficult place to play. But right now, I mean, when they play the way they did on Saturday, they seem unstoppable, which is maybe not surprising, but a little bit that I think that they've done it that well. The East is still really good, right? Like I think the East is still above the West. There's some teams on the negative side in the East that have surprised, and you guys were talking about Orlando, right? Like that's got to be they've got questions there, and it's a disappointing start to the season for a team that I thought was gonna make a jump. They finished second in the Supporters Shield standings last year, right?
Yep.
Like I thought we're gonna make a jump to contend for first in the whole league, and instead it hasn't been a good start. New England, of course, a lot going on there and a difficult start, but they got a good win. So yeah, the West, the Galaxy I think are for real, but we saw against Seattle, we did that game yesterday, and without Ricky Pooch and Joveljic and Delgado, they don't have that punch. They were happy with the scoreless draw to go back to LA, but when they're at full strength, I think they're legit. So yeah. Great storylines around the league.
Yeah, the Western Conference standings almost look upside down when you look at it, because you got Portland, Seattle, LA all struggling.
Yeah, Kansas City, right? And but credit to Salt Lake, to Minnesota, to Vancouver, to Colorado, right? The teams that they're not the big sexy teams historically of the Western Conference, but it's like Salt Lake is good, and I think they're for real. Minnesota, what they've done. They didn't have a coach when the season started, like remarkable. And they're playing so well. Chris Armas, Colorado was written off after that bad first half against Portland in the season opener, when Portland was like perfect. Like they scored on their first 4 chances and they were perfect, but everyone thought, Colorado, nothing's changed. No, a lot has changed, and they're good. And Vancouver, especially at home, right, are difficult, but they're 3-0-1 on the road. So the West is a little weird. I think a little more unpredictable as the season will go on. But it's MLS for you, right? That's why this league is great.
I still can't believe Chicho Arango got just like out of the blue comes to RSL. It's like, for God's sakes, he dominated in the year that they won the MLS Cup. Like,
if LAFC had him at the 9 right now, right, playing with, and they're going to probably have Olivier Giroud in 2 months. So, but still that decision to move on from him was a big decision for them. And so far, a year and a half later, it hasn't worked out. Now, long-term, it might. But so far it hasn't. They struggled all last year to figure out who the 9 was going to be. And ultimately, when it came down to it, they signed Mario Gonzalez in the summer and he just didn't work. So it's basically Vela at the false 9, and it just didn't give enough. And come MLS Cup, I think they needed that. If they had a number 9, that may have been a different day.
I think Buwanga did enough too.
He did, of course. but think about giving him a true 9, goal-scoring 9 to play with him, and he's just thrashing everybody and dominating on the left. And then you've got a 9 that he can play off of and that can be a threat as well. And they're even more dangerous, but they haven't had that since Arango. It's been false 9 really for a year and a half now.
Well, we're going to reserve our judgment of Miami till we get to play them twice.
Yeah, as you should. Yeah. Absolutely.
but you're right. They are doing well. Part of me wonders if that game this weekend was because the New York Red Bulls are so young, and I know they're really good. We've obviously played them. We lost to them.
Right.
But part of me does wonder if you had a more mature squad, if they don't fall apart like that. I'm going somewhere with this in a really roundabout way, but. Summer window is a time that some of these teams are really going to have to look at reloading. I mean, you got teams that are starting to bounce back, like Nashville, but clearly have points to make up. When you look at a Miami as the bar of the money that's been spent, do teams need to go reach into the pocketbook to try to get something that can catch up here?
Sure, absolutely, right? I mean, I think it's a good thing. Miami's pushing the league ahead, right? And they're making teams have to compete with what they're doing. Now, they have several advantages, not from like a skirting the rules standpoint, but Miami is a place people want to be, right? And people want to play there. And Messi is a person people want to play with. And that's okay. What they did to sign Lionel Messi was incredibly ambitious, should be applauded and should be praised. And if doing that allows them to sign players, allows them to sign players that are willing to come play with Messi at a discount because they want to play with Messi and live in Miami, that's the world, right? Like that. So yeah, other teams are going to have to figure out how to keep up, no doubt about it. And they're going to have to push a little bit. There are reports out there about rule changes in the summer. We'll see what happens, but that could, if those happen, that could allow other teams to increase their spending and increase that flexibility. But I think it's a good thing to make teams have to try to keep up. Right. And throughout the history of the league, there's been those inflection points, right? The Galaxy did it when they signed David Beckham in 2007. And then the DP rule came in and it was just 1 and now it's 3. And that pushed the league forward and other teams had to keep up. Portland and Seattle and Toronto, to an extent, when they came into the league, what they did to be relevant in their communities and create that culture kind of opened up everybody's eyes to the way to kind of market and, be a team, be an MLS club off the field and look at Cincinnati and where that stadium is built, right? And if not for Portland and Seattle coming into the league and showing what a downtown stadium can do, stadiums would probably keep getting built in the suburbs and it would be just a different kind of league. So there's all these inflection points that have pushed the league forward. Atlanta and LAFC coming in as expansion teams and showing you can spend money, compete right away, push the league forward and pushes other teams to keep up. So it's all good things. And Miami's the latest inflection point with signing Lionel Messi and making the league in MLS, which wasn't as much the case a few years ago.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. Part of me also thinks maybe, just maybe, if MLS is good enough for Messi, then it'll be good enough for players that follow him. And,
yeah, of course.
And Miami only has so many roster spots.
I have no doubt. No, there's no doubt there's that perception, right? And around the world amongst players like that matters, right? 100%. And I'm sure that you're seeing, I don't know this, but I imagine if you spoke to GMs and chief soccer officers, that yeah, maybe there's a slightly higher caliber of player, different caliber of player that they're now able to have conversations with because people are more open to coming to Major League Soccer than they were a year ago this time.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your takes there. Real quick, I want to bring it, circle it back to FC Cincinnati and Columbus this weekend. You have Cucho Hernandez. You mentioned the powerful midfield Columbus has there. I think FC Cincinnati edges them out in defense, but where are you at on midfield and attack as far as who's edging who?
I think the attack, it's got to be Columbus. I mean, look, Cincinnati have scored 13 goals, which works when you allow 9 and you're winning games, by 1 goal. Columbus in MLS play have struggled to score. They have 12 in 10 games, but we know they can do it. And I think it's hard to judge them by their MLS schedule, results, and stats at this point in the season because they're playing on 2 fronts and they've been so successful in CONCACAF Champions Cup. Their attack is so good. Cucho, I passed up the easy matchup of Cucho versus Lucho. 2 of the best players in the league and 2 guys who, if not for Messi, would be, battling for MVP again. And that's not to say that Messi has it locked up. He certainly doesn't, but he's the front runner now. But if say Messi's not here, then you're probably talking, like you're thinking, could it be Cucho, Lucho, Chicho, right? Like in that conversation long-term when you're projecting out because they're so influential on these really good teams and you figure they'll by the end of the year the numbers will be there, I think, for both of them. Attack, I'd take Columbus with Cucho and with Diego Rossi and whoever it is with them. It might be Matan, it might be Jason Russell Rowe, and you've got the outside backs coming forward. Everybody joins in. You've got the center backs. You've got it's with the way they play. You've got Steven Moreira, the right center back, just making huge runs into the box. Camacho's kind of the only one that stays. Everybody else goes. It's remarkable. But the midfield, again, it's a great matchup, and I don't know that there's necessarily an advantage there because. Again, like I said, Aiden Morrison, Darlington Nagbe. I was around Darlington for a long time in Portland, and he is still, despite him getting his flowers a little bit the past year, he's still underrated. The guy, you talk to people who played with him in Columbus, in Atlanta, in Portland, and who played at the highest of levels, and they will tell you he's the best player they've ever played with. Liam Ridgewell, my former broadcast partner in Portland, immediately you say, who's the best player you've ever played with? This guy played 10 years in the Premier League. Darlington Nagbe. You could drop him in any training session in the world and he would look at home. Diego Valeri, Diego Chara, Joseph Martinez, Wilfried Nancy, all these figures will say the same thing about Darlington when you talk to them about him. He's an incredible player, and he still isn't appreciated enough around the league. But what you guys said, Wobodeau is, I think, underrated for what he's done for Cincinnati and how his signing has helped elevate them. Taking that next step last year to being a Supporter Shield winning team, and Lucho's the MVP. So, that's hard. I won't pick one in the midfield, but it's hard.
I think you've got a little bit of newness to the Cincinnati squad compared to last year. The pieces are starting to fall in place, but Columbus, of course, kept a pretty good core group together. That might be what we see a little bit of this weekend. Well, I'll get you out of here. I wanted this segment to be a little bit long, so I apologize, but the fans have been asking for it, and they're sick of listening to us every week.
That's great. No, I'm long-winded, if you couldn't tell, so I just stretched it that long. Great to talk to you guys. I can't wait to get to Ohio. Man, Hell's Real is fantastic. Yeah. So excited to call it.
We look forward to having you here this weekend, Jake.
Cheers.
All right, and so if you're not at Columbus, I know there's a lot of fans going, and ticket prices are through the roof, but tune in to Jake on MLS Apple's TV season pass, and we'll have you on again soon.
Perfect. Can't wait, and we'll see. Are you guys going to be there in Columbus?
I will be there. I'm not sure if these other guys will be, but I'll be there.
Coaching soccer, man. Coaching soccer.
There you go.
5 o'clock game, man. I'll be running home.
You're perfect, right? But hey, you're lifting up the entire American soccer landscape and creating the next generation, which is great.
You don't need to stroke that ego too hard, Jake.
I'm Ginger Moreno. Come on.
Yes, there you go. Oh man. Well, see you guys this weekend. Thanks for having me.
Alrighty.
Cheers.
And again, that's Jake Zivin, MLS Season Pass. We appreciate him being on and giving us. It's fun to talk a little bit about the league, bounce around, and of course, hell is real. Hope you guys enjoyed that. All right, let's get back to Orlando City a little bit. I want to talk about. We finally got to see a little bit of Kelsey. Obviously, still needs some time. Still needs to gel with the squad, but with the possible Boupendza out situation, do you think he's going to get a lot of playing time in this one, guys? You throwing him in early, or are you keeping Kubo up there to start the match?
Well, I mean, you got to keep Kubo in there. I don't think there's any question of the two strikers you take out, you leave Kubo in. I actually don't think it would be that bad of an idea to put Kelsey in. He's going to have to play. We're going to talk about it later, but Boop's out for probably 2 months here. And I honestly think that Columbus is going to have a lot of the ball. And so we're going to need a hold-up striker there to play off of. And you've seen with Lucho and Kubo, their little 1-2 connections create chances. And if Kelsey can just hold that ball up for a second and give those two a chance, I think that's FCC's key. He's an expensive player. He's humongous. And honestly, Bear just has not done enough to warrant that time.
Yeah. No, it's a big question. Also, Yedlin, I think, is another big question. What do you do? Brett's could be. He is out. He's got a red card, so he's suspended for a week. What Powell are we down to Powell third string? Possibly.
You can play Kubo. Put him in right back. Just put him wherever you want, man.
11 Kubos. Go.
We need to clone
a lot of missed shots.
Yeah. You talked. Jake was talking about like a player who could just hit like a one-touch shot. Alvis can hit it into Rosette, but you can still do a lot worse than Alvis Powell as a backup. I mean, heck, he started the East Conference Finals as center back, so ideal, no, but it's not the end of the world.
No.
I mean, if Edgar Castillo can start a Hell's Real, so can Alvis Powell. Come on.
I mean, maybe Emil Saad. I don't know. I think he's probably
left
still
side.
be the left.
Left.
Yeah.
He's left.
We got to slowly break him in. I don't know if we can throw him on the opposite side already.
Yeah, Orshon is right-footed. I still think it's going to be Powell, but how many moving pieces do you want? I think you keep as much familiar as you can, especially against what I'd still say is the best team in the league. It's not Miami. It's Columbus.
Have they played each other yet? If they haven't, that will be interesting to watch. We got to get through a round of the three of us. Unfortunately, I think when we play Miami, it's international duty for a lot of people, so it won't be
I think both times.
full strength. Really?
Yeah, I think both times.
Wow. Well, then maybe maybe we won't worry about it till the playoffs next time then. But no, that's a good team anyway, regardless of who's on international duty. Like they said, it's definitely Columbus, Miami, and Cincinnati, in my opinion. And this is a big one. This is a big one to possibly walk out of Columbus with a 1 point or 3 points. Will matter, I think, when you get down to the end of the season. Columbus is probably going to roar back in the summer. I mean, I think that's a safe assumption. Whenever their extra games run out, they'll be in good quality season form. So build the point lead now. They couldn't catch us last year, so that's just the strategy. I think there are. Anybody else have anything else they want to talk? They want to dip on Orlando before we turn the page?
We're going to talk about the lack of offense here or not?
No.
Do you want to?
So you guys have to remember we're not allowed to talk about anything negative because we won. So we have to stay positive here. I just think that, kind of what Noonan said earlier, it does make a lot of sense. Lack of intensity. I know Brad and I have been discussing, where is that coming from? Is it the midfielders not doing the progressing of the ball? Is it not switching the point of attack like that we were doing so great last week versus Colorado? Like, how many switches did we have? Like, I think we were like 30% compared to last week versus Colorado. So there's definitely something either in the scouting report or us just not taking those risks and breaking down FCC. I know Brad and I were researching this. In 2023, Obi Wobodo is averaging 4.4 progressive passes per 90. Now he's at 3.7. Now, is that Obi Wobodo not feeling comfortable and still coming back from injury? Or is it the fact that he doesn't have Brandon Vasquez? Does he feel like he's comfortable passing the ball to Corey Baird?
You can't, that's why I said maybe you start Kelsey this weekend, because there's no outlet for either Pavel or Obi. I mean, the coach talked about this. We're just giving the ball away needlessly. And I think some of it's panic. I think that we're still figuring out our space. I still, for my money, too much space between our forwards and our midfielders. But I think our midfielders are scared, which coach talked about. They're just, every time they get the ball, I just feel like they're dropping it straight back to the center backs. They're not taking any chances. They're scared the ball's going to come right back down their throat. And that's something we're going to need to overcome, or we might be a first round exit team. We've got to improve. And I get what people are saying. Bryan took a little shot there and about, remembering how bad the first 3 years were and to be appreciative we're not in that situation. But I think Coach Noonan's, he's mature enough to understand the criticism. I think he understands that criticism is fair. He acknowledges the problem. And I think that also shows how the fan base is growing. So I think there needs to be changes that happen. Albright's trying to bring reinforcements in, but something's got to change. We've got to continue. We cannot continue to just score 1-0 games. Miami's got 32 goals. We've got 13.
The one thing I've noticed,
score.
We keep talking about our defense, and how many times is Columbus going to run at us? Now, one thing that we had last year with Mascara that we're missing this year is center backs progressing the ball, even at their own feet, taking those chances. Nick Hagland and his maturity in finding those outlets. There's a lot of things, and I still feel good. Like, we're in March or May. We're in May. We still got to go through November or December. Columbus, their hair was on fire at this point last year too. So long season. I'm excited what I see out of Pavel Buka. I mean, we're talking about, how great Nagbe is at getting the ball into good spaces. Pavel has 5.73 progressive passes per 90, decent amount of carries. Nagbe's at 5.75. They're the exact same. So I want to see how this pairing goes a little bit longer before we, burn the whole thing down. But I do agree something has to change a little bit. And I hate putting that on the shoulders of a 19-year-old forward. But hey, bud, you're going to have to get in those big boy shoes.
Yeah.
That's $7 million though. Come on.
Well, we got a great clip from Coach on how to play when you're up a man, and I'm looking forward to hearing from him on that. Before we do, we'll give a shout out to Beyond Exercise, our second half of the show sponsor, a local physical therapy and fitness business that helps anyone get active and stay active. In fact, they helped Nick Hagland and Brandon Vasquez this offseason with their physical therapy and strength training needs. Learn more at gobeyondexercise.com and ask about their ACL injury prevention screen. All righty, let's throw it over to Coach. He's going to close out Orlando for us, and I see some of you clamoring for Boupendza. We were going to talk about Boupendza. It might be the only thing we get in the last half of the show, but we'll go there next.
It's time for Coach's Tactical Takeaway, a segment where I come in each week and talk about one tactical thing that's on my mind from the past week. And here it is for match week 11. How could we talk about anything but playing up a man? FC Cincinnati has seemed as a club to struggle whenever they have a man advantage. So I thought it'd be good to come on and tell you how I think teams should play in that situation. It's all about speed of play and finding areas of the pitch where you have numbers up, which should be easier when you're playing 11v10. You want to shift the ball quickly to one side, usually the wide areas, because teams pack the midfield. Then you want the defense to come over there and account for you. If they don't, you get numbers to that side around the ball quickly. You push your outside center back on that side up into the midfield. You check a forward, maybe both forwards that way. You get a midfielder over there. And if the numbers are even, if you are 3v3 or 4v4 over there, you go for it. You take a player on, you try a 1-2 or a 3-player combination, because you know if you lose the ball in that situation, you'll be able to counterpress, force the team into a long ball or into playing the ball out of bounds and win the ball back. So you have to go for it, because if you do go for it and you go for it consistently, the opponent starts to shade another player over there. And then all of a sudden you have big numerical advantage on the opposite side of the field. So that's what happens if you don't, if the team does get numbers around the ball. If the opponents shift that way quickly, or they have an extra player over there, then you need to use your extra man that you have in the midfield or on the weak side to shift the ball that way quickly. Usually your 6 or a center back is open. You can get the ball to them, and then they can ping the ball directly to that opposite side wing back, because there aren't going to be any defenders on the weak side when the team is defending numbers down, because that is the place of the field that they don't have to worry about in the immediate moment. So as you're doing that, as you're shifting from one side to the other, you need to keep your eyes up the pitch and look for a chance to play against the grain into a forward or a midfielder. So for example, you're shifting the ball from left to right. You look as you're shifting to that left half space, and you look for those windows, those gaps in the defense to appear, so that you can play against the grain back to that forward in that left half space, who should be able to be in on goal easily. So how did FC Cincinnati play up a man against Orlando? The answer is so slowly. It looked like they put their foot on the ball and just thought, oh, we'll just hold on to it, pass easily through this defense now that they're down a man. And it didn't look like that. Orlando didn't sit back. They got out and pressed a little bit. The back line, they pressed in the midfield. They won every 50-50 ball, it seemed like. Only 3 FC Cincinnati starters won more than half of their ground duels. That's abysmal. FCC also didn't go for it when they were numbers even or numbers up. They looked content to pass up the oppositions to play a guy like Kubo in behind. DeAndre Yedlin several times had lots of space to run down the right wing, and he elected to step on the ball and pass it back to Miles Robinson. They were content to play around the periphery of the defense instead of trying to get penetration. And then they didn't even keep the ball then. They eventually lost it and let Orlando City counterattack the other way, because they weren't getting numbers around the ball. They couldn't counterpress and win it back. Now, I'm not sure there's any long-term takeaways from this performance. SEC might not have another man advantage all season. We just don't know. But if they do, Noonan and co. need to find a way to impress upon them that the man advantage is only an advantage if you're willing to go out and force the issue and make the defense shift side to side and work their butts off. That's Coach's Tactical Takeaway for Week 11. If you want to get more content like this, make sure you head on over and get subscribed to the Talking Tactics with Coach Goff podcast, where Justin Hoyt and I broke down this match as we do each and every week. Get it wherever you get your podcast today, or watch us on YouTube.
All right, thanks, Coach. That was very insightful and a good close, I think, on Orlando. Hopefully, we have many matches more where we are up a man and we can take those lessons to heart. Obviously, hell is real this weekend. Big one. I think we've covered that in full. Let's get into the big news of the week. Aaron Boupendza. We've all known there's been a couple problems there. He hasn't started 2 matches in a row, and then we hear. Right before this Orlando one kicked off that there was problems. He got in was it a Monday night, I believe? There was a fight around 2 a.m. and his jaw was broken, is the report. And Bryan, I guess fill us in, because I'm not sure if I'm telling you that right.
Our man was innocently assaulted Sunday night into Monday, and he was defending the honor of FC Cincinnati. And I appreciate him, and I will support him. No, in all honesty, we don't know what happened outside the fact that a professional boxer gave him a left or right hook, unfortunately. And he'll be out for 6 to 8 or 10 weeks. I'm not sure. In all honesty, there's so many stupid takes out there that I'm kind of sick of talking about this. And I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about our star DP. It pisses me off that, but he's a 20-some-odd-year-old dude. He's an adult, and I mean, I don't say he'll face the repercussions. Is that the right way? That's probably not the right way of doing it, but it stinks. I still support the guy. He's still an orange and blue family member. He's going to go where he experienced a trauma that nobody should experience regardless of the situation. That stinks. It's going to be a tough road back. And, I just hope that when he gets back to the field that we, treat him with the love and respect that he deserves as a member of our club. So it's unfortunate. There's a lot of talk about other situations, and we don't know everything. But I still don't know if that'll change my mind. So yeah. I just wish him a speedy recovery. And God, I just mentally, like, going through something like that. Like, I know my cousin had some, he was, jumped in downtown Cincinnati. We don't know if that was the case or what, but like, I can't imagine going through that. And I just feel terrible for him.
I think when all this news was going out, I think we saw on Twitter kind of what made us first wrap our arms around Aaron Boupendza. It was some of the reactions to some of the fans of his former teams. So he's our guy. I know we've been disappointed with his performance on the field. I know he's been sitting recently, but Aaron deserves every bit as much love as anybody else on the team. And we just hope that the young man can find a way to regain confidence, to really to be able to overcome this situation and several other situations that have happened at FC Cincinnati and really flourish at the city. Because I know the fans want to celebrate his glory, which is, it may be a time to reset and say, hey, what are my primary focuses in life?
Well, I picked up my stone to throw, and then I realized I have also been in a bar at 2 a.m. And in my 20s probably did some stupid crap.
Or
but
like out table.
Yeah, never got punched in the face. Luckily for me. The one thing you said, though, he's our guy, Justin, Tom Bogart. And what if he's not our guy? Tom Bogart came out this week and said FC Cincinnati was already looking at moving Boupendza in the summer because of he's just found himself in numerous discipline issues. I don't think that's something that's been buried or hidden or anything.
I'm not necessarily buying that it's discipline issue focused. Like, is he the right person for our system is where I think that decision should and is made.
The guy's Lucho's shadow. He literally, like, Orishano's got this issue a little bit too, and I think he's improving and working how to figure it out. I know they talked about it, especially in the first half this weekend, about how Lucho's been liking to hang on the left this year, and that's, Orishano's not used to playing over there. He used to be a right winger. You're asking him to be a inverted left wing back, and that's taken some time to learn that. Boop's been here for 10 months. He's had a full
off-season training camp, and the guy still runs right onto Lucho. He occupies Lucho's space. He's got all the talent in the world. That left foot is incredible. It's probably the second best left foot in the league. But he's just not getting it together. So regardless of whatever happened last Sunday night into Monday morning, I think they need to really be serious and look at different options, because it's not working out. At some point in time, you've got to realize where you've got to be on the pitch, and he's not it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know Pat's not Pat Noonan, I should say. Pat Noonan is not a guy who's lacking in the message to the team kind of person. But let's be honest. I mean, FC Cincinnati, since Aaron Boupendza has been there, has been a very successful team. And when you're not facing adversity, well, what's your motivation to change? You know what I'm saying? Like, the goals aren't there for him. They were last year. But, how seriously does a player take, okay, I need to get better at this, or because we had people like Brenner, we had people like Barriel that went through the grind, right? And even Vasquez went through the slumps, went through the bad times, and said, hey, we need to make sure that we're doing this better. Aaron hasn't had that. It's all been success since he's been here at FC Cincinnati.
It's always, I just think it's better to have your strikers trading NFTs than getting in boxing matches. That's what I've learned over the last couple of years. But it's always something with the striker. It seems like I still rank on the FC Cincinnati striker problems. Boupendza will never get the top spot. I think that's still my main man, Audie. I think he got his face back here still. But we'll move on. Let's get into your final thoughts. Sorry to push you guys so fast tonight, but man, we've had an action-packed show, and I hope you've really enjoyed it. Bryan, we will jump to you if you can come up with something here in the next couple seconds.
Always throwing it to me tonight, but no, I'm just excited for Hell's Real. It just kind of stinks. Like, I wish there's a little bit more. I don't know if there's lack of juice, but when you win the Supporter Shield and then you immediately have your rival beat you in the Eastern Conference Final on that finish, and you were kicking their butt all game, and that just broke down the last 10 minutes. It's tough. So I really hope we can go out there and send a message to the league. I don't have that faith yet, but with Lucho Acosta, anything can happen. So can't wait to see how it plays out, and hoping that we can nick at least a point away at toiletbowlstadium.com.
and may please may it not be a burning hot day with that black roof. Brad,
just need some more juice this weekend, Boston. Just too much complacency, too much scared football. I'm a Tottenham supporter as well. I'm seeing the same thing there. And so these guys they got to buckle down. They got to commit to it. They got to go for it. They can't continue to get in their shell and have that scar tissue. And I think, again, the Miami loss and the Crew loss in the semifinals of both the Open Cup and the MLS Cup playoffs, I think that's still fresh, even though there's a lot of new faces. So I think overall we gotta just press forward. We've got to go for it. We cannot continue to just pray to St. Lucho to deliver us, and the defense needs to hold serve too. They kept a clean sheet this weekend, but I'm really worried. We can talk about it, but I'm really worried that there are definite cracks for him, and so I'm really looking to see if the offense can get more than just Lucho, and if that defense can tighten up a bit, because those guys, they're killers in Columbus.
St. Lucho works 60% of the time, all the time. All right, Justin.
Yeah, Brad said something about the new faces on our team. How about the new faces at CST? Grayson, Lucas, Aiden, even Brandon over on the post-game reactions. These guys are killing it, and it's nice to see Kenta over there joining Brandon on that channel. So hats off to them. If you haven't checked out Grayson's pre-match coverage and post-match coverages are well written. They're very good. Lucas is covering FCC2 for us, and Aiden's doing a great job working out those graphics for us. So hats off to those guys.
Yeah, these kids will probably have our jobs someday, but good work to you guys and everybody new that's showing up and doing great work for CST. Well said, Justin. I have an apology to make as my final thought. All of our Patreon supporters, I've done so good getting Growler Cup emails out this week, but I failed you with the Orlando game, and because of that, we're going to pretend like I planned it the whole time, and Hell is Real is worth double points because it's such an important matchup. So we're going to have a catch-up game for the Hell is Real game, and I think that might be it. That closes out round 1, so the winner will be the winner. I will get a leaderboard updated this week. I will send out the Hell is Real Derby, and then we will move into round 2 of the Growler Cup, which, by the way, if you want to join, this is a perfect time. Round 2 is the spot. And we reset the points and we play a new game. So we hope you can join us, and you can head on over to our Patreon page if you would like to do that. Very small contribution, keeps us running, keeps our website free, and all of the hosting stuff and everything that goes along with it. We appreciate you all for listening. We hope you had a great episode. Thanks to Yevon who stopped in, and we will see you all next week.